Let me start off by saying thank you. Thank you for giving your time. Thank you for giving your talents to build up our church by leading a committee or team. We thank you for being the chair. Now, I've created this video so that you can understand kind of what my expectations are of each chair, and so that all committees are kind of run with a similar expectation. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you can learn a lot. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me so we can figure things out. So here's what I'd like you to do. As the chair of a committee or team, number one is to focus on the greatest commandments, to love God with all your heart, being in mind, and to love your neighbor as yourself. No matter what we do in the church, we should always remember and be focused on these two commands, to love God and to love our neighbor. Secondly, I want you to be living into our membership vows. So when you join this church, sorry for that typo, we ask you to be faithful members of this congregation by the giving of your prayer, your presence, gifts, service, and witness. So we want you to be living into all aspects of your membership vows. We expect that as a leader of this congregation. Number three, we believe that God is calling Milford Hills United Methodist Church to be a better church and to be the body of Christ for this community and world. We need to be on the lookout for how God is doing that. So as you lead your committee or team, be asking yourself, what is God asking us to do? Say that in a prayer as you open up in prayer. Be concentrated on how, and be open to how God is leading us and calling us as a church, as your committee or team, but then also as a greater congregation. Number four is to lead. The nominations committee has asked you to lead in this area of the church because they believe that you have God-given abilities and talents and expertise to be a leader. And so what we will really want you to do is to live into that calling. Take that ownership and help us to be a better church. I am here if you need help or guidance on how to do these things. If you have questions or concerns, I am here to be your teammate. So I want you to run your committee the best way as possible, but if you have questions or ideas, then let's talk about that and how can we move forward to make this a better committee and better experience for people. So live into that calling and be the leader we know you can be. Number five is I want you to just kind of some logistical things. I need you to pray for before a meeting. They don't need to hear from me every time. Take some spiritual leadership and pray for your committee and team as you begin to meet. I am happy to wrap up the meeting in prayer, but as the chair, I ask you to please open up that meeting with just a short prayer, just saying that God can be here in this meeting and guide us as we do this business. Number six, I ask that you are the one who contacts your committee or team. It is preferred that you reach out at least 2 weeks notice if possible. I know there's some times where we can't do that, but when everything is working well, if you can reach out to your team 2 weeks beforehand so that everyone can put it on the calendar and make sure they can be there at that time. If there's a pinch, hopefully we have a week to be able to get the word out and people can rearrange their schedules so they can meet. Constant contact and clear communication is an important part of leading a committee or team. I also ask the chair to be the one who contacts Blake to let them know on upcoming meetings. So after we meet and we decide what our next meeting is, I see it as your responsibility to let Blake know that. That way she can set door schedules so that we know the doors are open for those meetings and we can make sure the HVAC needs are taken care of. But then also that meeting is put in the bulletin or newsletter information so people know when you are meeting. If you've reached out via email to them and then they see it in the bulletin and that's in the newsletter, there's no excuse not to know that stuff is happening. Number 8, be last. Jesus says the last will be first and the first will be last, but I want you to be last out of the building. Take that stewardship, take that servanthood kind of mentality and be one of the last ones to leave. You don't have to beat me out. I'm fine. If I'm meeting with you, I may take a little bit longer, but make sure your team is in the parking lot and turn off lights and make sure any mess is cleaned up. We see that as the chair's responsibility. And number 9, you don't have to be the person who takes the minutes, but we want people to be taking minutes at all committee meetings and then sending them in to Blake or making church council reports off those minutes so that everyone can know what exactly is happening and when. That way, if there's questions or wondering when certain things were decided, we have documentation and we can prove why this decision was made and who made it. So those are the 9 expectations I have. Now you might be wondering, well, how in the world do I figure out who's on my committee? Well, if you haven't already, download this app to your smartphone. Pretty sure, I know it's on Apple phones, and I'm pretty sure it's on Android phones as well. It is the Instant Church Directory app, and it looks like that. This is the main screen for our church. The way that you log in is you use the email that is in the directory. So for let's use my wife, for example, Alicia, her email, the one that she has listed that people could reach out to her, that is going to be her login ID, and then she'll create a password for that. So whatever email you have, that is your login information. If you are having problems logging in, please reach out to Blake in the church office between 8 and 1, Monday through Friday. She's helped numerous people get this set up on their smartphone. She's happy to do it. But this is a great tool for you as a leader because of this right here. You can click here, and from that app, you can go to, say you need to call my wife, Alicia, again. Ready? You may not have her number memorized, but if you went to Families and then went to Parsons, you could look up her and you could see her number right there. If you touch that, hit that number on your phone will then dial that number. You don't have to go to another app. You don't have to write it down and then type it into your phone again. Just hit it and it'll go there. If you needed to come by the parsonage and you didn't know where that was, the address is listed there. You would hit the button and then your maps apps would show up and you could follow directions through GPS to get there. It's a wonderful tool, all right there. The other good thing is this one right here, groups. The Instant Church Directory app calls it groups, but really what this is our committees and teams. If you click here, you will see a list of all the committees and teams along with who serves on them. We've updated that for 2024. We update it every year. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get into January, but we update them every year so that they are ready to go and you know who is serving on your team. A while ago, we had an email for every single team, like trustees@milfordhillsumc.org. But we've run into issues with that. We've had problems with people who are not on our network or don't use a milfordhillsumc.org email to then send that email out. And sometimes it gets thrown in people's junk or people just don't receive it at all. And so here's what we're asking, that we don't use those emails anymore and that you look here at your groups, make a group in your email server, however you can, that you can then email and distribute to your own team. All right. So just go ahead and create that distribution list or that contact list so that you can send it out in whatever form or fashion you can. That'd be wonderful if you just take that responsibility in your email system. That way, hopefully more email will get out and people will know what is happening and when committees are meeting. Once again, thank you. Thank you for being a leader within our church. Thank you for being the type of person who is going to be taking this leadership role seriously. Thank you for contacting your team and for letting Blake know when things are happening and to living into these expectations. If we are all doing this, we're going to be a well-oiled machine that is ready to do what God is calling us to do. And so thank you for being that type of leader for Milford Hills.